Why do you keep getting hurt during sparring? Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you. Because in jiu-jitsu, it's chill or be chilled. Let's talk about why that higher belt went beast mode on you and why, low-key, you actually deserved it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Valores Training Center YouTube channel. I am Mark Entrata, first degree black belt under the legendary professor Cobrina Charles. And nah, seriously, this is for the beginners, the hobbyists, and the older guys, as usual. And let's talk about why do you usually get hurt during sparring. Let's get into it. Now, here's the thing. When you're starting out, your ego is loud. You want to win every round. You want to show your coach that you're built different. I know, because I used to be a white belt too. Okay, and I'm 5'11", pretty tall for a Filipino, and also the reason why some guys with Napoleon complex secretly hate me. But anyway, every role was a tough pill to swallow for me because I was getting ragdolled by guys who were much smaller than me. Okay, and I was really just every role I was really just relying on my pent up anger because I didn't have techniques. Just on my pent up anger and based on my insecurities and the inner child that I was trying to heal so bad. Okay, but later on I was just getting hurt more and more, and when I became more socially aware, I realized that the higher belts weren't too fond of me. Okay, and it was mostly because of my attitude, especially during the roles, and that's when I realized that maybe I better need to chill out. Because here's the thing, we tend to forget that the higher belt or higher belts we're trying to beat, like they owe us money, is also human. Okay? Maybe he got fired from work. Maybe he got catfished by another dude. Or maybe he was really just tired of babysitting your butt because he saw that your ego was getting bigger and bigger every time he cut you some slack during sparring. Regardless, okay, these training partners we have are people too. So that means they also have emotions. Spazzy energy attracts retaliation. And seasoned grapplers, we already know who's there to learn whenever they spar with us or who's there to prove something. Okay, and if you keep going beast mode on higher belts, one day someone's gonna flip the switch on you. Not because they're mean, but because they also want you to know what happens when they match your pace. Okay, here's a quick test for you to know if you're the reason why you're getting hurt. Ask yourself these two questions. The first one, okay, um, who are the people I train with that I get hurt after our sparring or even during the sparring? Okay. The second one is, are there other people who get hurt training with those same people? Now, first, if your answer to number two is yes, there are other people who also get hurt, you have to be careful training with that person. Okay, you have to make sure that if you can avoid sparring him, then great. But if you cannot, then just make sure you always just stay safe. Okay, but if your answer to number two is none that I know of or very very few, then congratulations, mystery solved. Even guys like Craig Jones have to deal with this. He had an interview with, I think, BJJ Fanatics, and he said that there's always that one white belt at every seminar that he does that, who wants to spar or finally decides that this is the day that I'm going to catch a world-class black belt. And he even said that I literally flew 20 hours, demoed a move, and the guy tried to hit me with a flying armbar while I was showing it. Like, bro, like, what are we doing here? Okay. So here's the real talk, man. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Higher belts should know how to control the pace of the sessions. That is true. Okay. We have that responsibility. And real talk too, there are higher belts who are actually bullies, mat bullies. And especially in academies that don't really much care about character, you will run into a lot of them. But like I said, we're not robots, even though Optimus Prime is one of my biggest influences. Okay, Sometimes the bear gets poked one too many times, and the moment we bite back, suddenly you're the victim. Okay? A 2021 study published in Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine found that white belts account for the highest injury rate per training hour in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, the most common cause? Excessive force and ego-driven resistance. Yes, if you follow the channel, I made a video about this before. Okay, so make sure you check that out. I talked about this one. Okay, what are the common injuries? Neck, shoulders, and knees. They were the top areas injured, mostly during uncontrolled sparring. So it's not just only my opinion. Studies show white belts have the highest injury rates. Why? Because they go super saiyan in every role. Like Universe 7 depended on them. Okay. All right. This way of thinking is something we all can see in the real world. It's like some people who like to complain that they're in toxic relationships. Okay. Like how some women say that their ex was this and that, then very toxic. And then later on, you catch up with them and they're like, oh, hey, I'm dating this guy. I'm like, wow, so you got back together with that toxic guy. And she's gonna be like, oh no, it's a different guy. You're like, oh, but you were describing the same person. See, you get what I mean? Or some guys, who keep changing social circles every 1, 2, or 3 years, saying that, oh, I left because, they're very toxic, they're blah, blah, blah. Okay. The thing is, most of us don't like to be accountable for our actions, and we just put the blame on everyone else except ourselves. Why? Because that's the easiest thing to do. Okay. But the truth is, what happens to us is a direct result of our actions and decisions. Okay. Like the saying goes, it takes two to tango. It's the same in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You keep going in like every sparring session, like it's the finals of the Mundials and your Jacare Souza. And later on, you find yourself with a broken arm because your partner thought he was Roger Gracie. Better watch that. I think that match, that classic match, is on YouTube, so you better check that out. That was a crazy match. Jacare won, but at the price of having his arm broken. Okay, so what do you do? Well, just remind yourself you're here to learn, to move, to have fun, and you're not in the Hunger Games. And most colored belts, especially the older one, man, they're just trying to flow, to sweat, and maybe go home to watch reruns of Friends during the time Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston still had facial expressions. Okay, so here are some tips to stay chill. First, remind yourself that it's not a fight, it's just a game. This reduces or can limit your fight or flight response. Okay, next, flow roll with intention. Focus on defense and transitions, not submissions. Third one, set a pace where you and your partner can breathe and talk during and even after the sparring session. Next, don't chase taps. Chase efficiency in controlling positions. Like if you have a dominant position, especially if you have a dominant position. Okay. And last but most importantly, please do not be that guy who says that, hey man, I'm just gonna go light and let's just chill. But then the moment you slap hands and bump fists, you go beast mode. Everyone hates that guy. That guy. Okay. Okay. Flow rolls will not only save your joints, but more importantly, it's gonna save your friendships. In our academy at Cabrina, Manila, that's also one of the reasons why we do not allow new guys to spar right away. Because, and that's why at most, we just let them do positional sparring so we can observe and see how relaxed they are, okay, or how chill they are. And the moment we feel and we see that, oh, maybe he can now do live sparring, then that's the only time we allow him. But there are instances that people, some of the students are still really overly aggressive. So we just tell them, hey, I think your pace is a little bit more competition pace. If you really can't control your chill and your anger, okay, maybe just go to the competition class. But we also remind them and warn them that, if you keep that beast mode 24/7, you're either gonna burn out or break, because those are just facts. All right. So if you want to train until 99, okay, you better learn how to chill or be ready to be chilled. All right. Remember, like, subscribe, and comment. Comment. What's the wildest role you've ever had? And remember, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Os.